Philly against the Rams. I mean, there are plenty of players that you are entering lineups in this week, Tom. Where do you want to start?
I mean, there's so much to talk about this one. And we've got to kind of mention that Cooper Kupp is pushing to play. I think it would be very easy to gloss over that if it was a player who isn't Cooper Kupp, but Cooper Kupp is an absolute star. The reports out this week suggest that the injury wasn't as bad as the team thought a few weeks ago, which I'm not saying that Cooper Kupp didn't need to go on IR. It sounded like he absolutely did, but by all accounts, he's looked fantastic in practice. Sean McVay said that he wasn't limited, even though the team had to designate him as limited on the practice report. And so much of what the Rams have done well over the last few weeks with Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, the ramifications of how this looks with Cooper Kupp back in the lineup is going to be huge. I mean, is Tutu going to continue his streak of 4 games with 8 or more targets in all those games? He's only one of 4 wide receivers to do that. We know what Puka Nacua has been. You know, he's been fantastic. And now are you saying, okay, well, how much longer can he cling on to being wide receiver 4? That seems like a bit of a high aspiration, but if he can slot more into the Robert Woods role that it seems like the Rams possibly wanted him to be when they drafted him, then that's fine. We know Cooper Kupp can get back to being his fantastic self as well, even if it starts a little quiet. And in the Eagles, they're facing a secondary that is perhaps getting by on reputation over the last couple of years a little more than they warrant. You can get at that secondary. We've seen the Vikings got at them. We've seen that, you know, Philly have allowed the 5th most points to opposing wide receivers. So it's, with this game being a late one, I'm going to build a lot of lineups that play either chalk or contrarian plays early on and then lean into this game and attack it from different points of view for this game. So yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for this game. I think there's so much to really look forward to here.
Have you got any reticence? We talked previous weeks with hamstring injuries of, you know, we want to be 1 week kind of them playing before we're entering lineups. Is Cooper Kupp one of those players that you want to see for a week, or is he so good that as soon as he's active, you got to start him?
It's really tricky because there's definitely been players who I wasn't starting on the first week back, like Christian Watson. I wanted to see it, and that turned out to be right. He was on a pitch count. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams try to keep Cooper Kupp on a pitch count, but I think some of my teams, I mean, I need Cooper Kupp to start, and benching Cooper Kupp for somebody else is a really difficult choice, more so than any of the other ones that we've been presented with so far. So I think it'll be on a case-by-case, team-by-team sort of decision, really. And if you do have those lineup questions, drop them in the chat, and we will get to them all tonight.
Yeah, I think for me, he's in that kind of wide receiver 2 territory. And, you know, if you've got a situation where you can afford to sit Cooper Kupp in a, you know, a selected lineup, fair play to you because your team's probably loaded. But what about on the Eagles side? Is there any particular players that you're particularly targeting for DFS this week?
So, I mean, AJ Brown's usage is substantially more than what we were kind of seeing last year. Like, he is dominating in a way that we just didn't see last year. It seemed to be a bit more spread out. Like, Dallas Goedert was getting screens consistently and was really not necessarily a focal point of the offense, but he was a definite part of it every week. And this year we're just seeing that it is AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and then the running game. They're leaning into the running game a bit more often. Yeah, DeAndre Swift has played far better than we perhaps thought he might, but Kenneth Gainwell's still involved there. But I mean, if you're looking to stack this game up, you're talking about Jalen Hurts, who's the QB5, and you compare him with AJ Brown, who's the wide receiver 8, or Devonta Smith, who's the wide receiver 15. Smith 7,400 on DraftKings is very easy to fit in. I think plenty of people will fit AJ Brown in. The Rams defense ranks 24th in DVOA, but they've allowed the 5th fewest fantasy points to running backs and the 9th fewest to wide receivers. So it's like, in efficiency metrics, this defense isn't doing great, but they haven't really been giving up huge amounts of points. But I would expect that to change against this Eagles offense, which is far better than any they've faced so far.
And the one question that I want to know about the Eagles passing game is it the squeaky wheel game for Goddard? We've seen a few people talk about we need to get him passing. He's still a part of this offense. We'll get him involved. Do you think they force feed him? He's a screen heavy receiver. Do we think we see 4 or 5 manufactured touches to Dallas Goedert just to try and get him back into being a part of this offense?
So this is the second time this season where the Eagles coaching staff have come out and talked about needing to get Dallas Goedert more involved in the passing game and talked about how, he should be getting more catches. But I think when that happens for Dallas Goedert, it is just going to be more designed screens. So what you're kind of hoping with Dallas Goedert is he either gets there through A, volume, or B, breaking one of them and turning it into massive yards after the catch. What kind of gives you a little bit of hope for that? I mean, at $4,200, he's $100 more than Tyler Higbee. So I'm not sure either of those tight ends are particularly going to get played on DraftKings. If you're talking about redraft or Dynasty, I think you can absolutely start Dallas Goedert this week, which didn't feel like something we'd have to say. I've got Dallas Goedert in my home league, and it's something that's been causing me pain. The Rams have given up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. They've also been worse against fantasy tight ends from the slot in that position. Sorry, in line rather than from the slot. So, yeah, it doesn't feel like this is going to be a bad matchup for Dallas Goedert. It's just easier to click for 2 wide receivers because they're just so much more fun.
Yeah, agreed 100%. And I think from a Dynasty perspective, I think I'm 1 week away from buying into Swift. I was out in the offseason. I thought that this offense, where Hurts is getting so many of the carries around the goal line, not heavy receiving usage, but Swift has been so efficient running the ball between tackles, which is not something I ever thought I'd say for DeAndre Swift. I think if he does it again this week against a decent front seven of the Rams, I think I'm ready to kind of jump in and commit to him longer term.